With the end of the Meeple arc, and MePhone 4 leaving Inanimate Island alongside MePhone 3GS, and ending the show to finally allow everyone he created to live normal lives, you think the story would end here after the end of Inanimate Insanity Season 2 and its movie, but it was only just the beginning for what was ahead. Hey everyone, it's SwordHeartStudios back again, and this time we're kicking things off for Inanimate Insanity Season 4 with a review video for its first episode here on the channel. You may be wondering, why are you doing a review video instead of a reaction video like you've always done? Well, to answer that, I've touched on this in a live stream and the reaction to the tour videos, but I'll explain this again for those of you who don't know. I was very busy during the catch-up for the tour, and I accidentally forgot to check that Discord's audio was on in OBS for Chloe and Owen before I started recording. This was my fault for not making sure things were set up properly, as I was very exhausted with everything that was going on right before the tour. And then the video got further delayed with how bad my mental health got over the summer and into the later half of 2025. But I'm glad with this video, it gave me this chance to do a review video again. It's been a while since I did one, back when we did the 1HFJ series, when I lost the footage for 1HFJ4. A little fun fact. We're going to be going over the episode along with my initial thoughts on the episode itself for the start of the season, but also covering some of people's criticisms on Season 4 later on in the video. Now, without further ado, let's start with the episode. The future is today. Totally a reference to Steve Cobb's song from Inanimate Insanity 2, the movie.
The future is so yesterday!
It did make me wonder how the animation epic crew would go about this when reintroducing everything several months after the events of Inanimate Insanity 2 the movie. And with this opening, I was definitely surprised. The episode starts off with 3 contestants we've seen before back in Inanimate Insanity Season 1, but never made it into the competition, being Teddy Bear, Belle, and Spiky, who we saw back in Season 1 who had a chance to join the game, but didn't, as Apple would be the one to join in, having won the explosive paintball challenge to join in for Season 1's competition. But we would see them time and time again afterwards in the background of the Meeple arc episodes after their introduction, alongside other promotional stuff for the series. But then we have our new characters, first introduced in this season, being Tapey, voiced by Miss Bonnie Art, a tape recorder, alongside Jack, a poker card voiced by Joey Sourless. The 5 are currently in the middle of a challenge with just 3 minutes on the clock to try and escape Me Afterlife, which is a bit different now, being a basketball challenge. Since the shimmer that once powered MePhone 4 had been removed by the seasons 1 through 3 contestants during the final act of the movie, Me Afterlife has become more unstable since then, as they say in the video, with others trying to get out and with it not being the same challenge as before in the movie, with it being the red line game there, but not here. As it does have me wondering if, since Me Afterlife has become more unstable since the movie, if the challenge changes up to where it's not the same one like we've seen with the red line game from II2 the movie. But I'll talk more about this later on in the video. The 5 are being coached by MePhone 4S, who's trying to help them to escape Me Afterlife. While he didn't get as many appearances as he did after Season 1, I loved MePhone 4S's character arc as a whole throughout the Meeple arc, with the appearances he got after. And I find it awesome that even though he doesn't want to leave Me Afterlife to overwrite MePhone 4, that he's trying to help anyone else escaping from Me Afterlife by encouraging and proving how it wasn't impossible to escape, like how everyone did it in the movie with Knife and Suitcase's attempt. It isn't long until Teddy's the first to get out, but go back and help her friends Spiky and Belle with trying to help them escape, by encouraging them with how they have another chance to get back into the game if they make it through the basketball game. Jack is the first one to escape being a jerk to everyone and leaving Me Afterlife first, and let me tell you, he's definitely not on my favorite person list. Tebe is the third to get out, but stays with Teddy to help Spiky and Belle by suggesting something that helped him greatly with escaping. Tebe is definitely one of my favorite Season 4 characters out of the new batch. It isn't long before time runs out, and Belle's time and chance to escape Me Afterlife runs out. I found this sad, especially since Teddy and Belle knew each other since Season 1, and Teddy refused to leave her side, wanting to stay, but instead Spiky making sure she got out. Crazy to see how this season was already starting off with a dark death. When getting back to Inanimate Island, Teddy makes the comment, "This isn't the world we left behind." And this is a very nice detail they put in, especially with how the series' animation and art style has developed over the years. Since the last time we saw Teddy was in Inanimate Insanity 2, the movie, Act 3, Episode 18, Objects in Mirror, to where her design got more refined from the first half of Season 2, but also her Season 1 look, where her design would look more finished in Season 4, and I have to say, I really love her Season 4 design. Flory comes in to greet the group, explaining that the show is officially over and that there are no more challenges, to which Teddy shows her anger with them almost having died escaping Me Afterlife and realizing they did it for nothing in one of the most funniest and relatable scenarios.
Do you know how close we all just were to losing our lives forever?
Was it as close as you are to my face?
Closer.
But one of the awesomest II characters comes in to break up the fight and takes them to a theater. I'm assuming that Cabby created a new library along with having a theater built into it after the events of II2 the movie, where we don't exactly know the fate of Paradise in the Cabrary after the end of the movie. But I'm also assuming, just like the other buildings, such as Hotel OJ, it got deleted and ended up in Me Afterlife. Cabby promises them that they have prepared a theatrical presentation to catch them up to speed and soothe their anxieties. During the setup scene, we see Walkie Talkie along with the Spring Balloon toy and Spring Cabby toy. That goes back to what I was saying earlier about Me Afterlife. That makes me really wonder, especially with the game in Me Afterlife changing up to escape, with how Walkie Talkie along with some of the toys escaped from Me Afterlife. Later on in the episode, we also see other non-contestants we've seen in the past that have also escaped from Me Afterlife, which could mean that we could get to see the others who escaped, because right now we don't know who else escaped. One of the non-contestants I hope escaped is Springy, seeing how they had a change of heart at the end of Season 3, and seeing them again in Me Afterlife in the movie. I love how the play is foreshadowed with the thumbnail and keeping up with the series tradition of showing the season's number with the fingers, like we've seen in previous seasons, including Season 1's remaster as of now with its first episode. Even though Me Phone 4 isn't here anymore, it's nice to see that the tradition is being carried on through Bot, who Me Phone 4 was the closest with out of all the contestants during Invitational's events. I know people have given their negative criticisms on the theater scene, but the way I see it, it's very essential for this first episode, along with being the start of a new arc in the series. For people who haven't seen Inanimate Insanity's first 3 seasons / the Meeple arc, this is what gives more information to new fans for their starting point with this, on what happened previously with Me Phone 4, the show, and everything leading towards the reveal that he didn't just create the show, he also created everyone else we see throughout the seasons, except for Steve Cobbs, Me Phone's other siblings, along with Toilet. One of my favorite video game series, Minecraft Story Mode, also makes its recap essential when getting into its second season for people who hadn't played through the first season. It does the recap in simplified events from the season's first 2 arcs, the Witherstorm arc and the Portal arc. It does a good job getting the point across with Jesse and the gang becoming heroes in the Witherstorm arc, and then their other adventures in the Portal arc with their rise to fame that didn't need to be fully explained since they're like their own separate adventures. Here, with the theater scene, I can fully see what they're doing with recapping all 3 seasons in a simplified version to understand what happened, but to also give interest in what fully happened if new fans want to go back and watch through those seasons to fully understand what's going on now. That makes me like the scene, especially having fully watched through all 3 seasons previously. Bot does an amazing job in this scene, playing Miphone 4. While watching this the first time, I didn't realize that Flory was supposed to be playing Meepad, since I'm so used to seeing him on the floor. I like how they have Bloom playing Suitcase since he's best friends with her, as well as Yin Yang playing Knife because of the jerkish side Yang had before his further development in Invitational, along with playing the Prime Shimmer, going back to the egg comment about the both of them in season 3. But I question why the heck they let Toilet play the man who killed his best friend, with what we see here when he goes at Flory because of his trauma with Cobbs killing Meepad at the end of season 2, and II2 the movie. Toypad anyone? But after the play gets cut short due to Cabby having to attend a meeting, tour guide duties are switched over to Baseball and Clover. Every past character's appearance in this episode had me hyped when they appeared on screen, even if they didn't get to speak in the episode itself. That has me pretty excited for this season to see everyone get more screen time than we've seen in the past 3 seasons. I do have to question why they let Paper, the most easily flammable contestant, wield sparklers for his big part in the second act of the play. But also, this was my first time hearing Hurricane Hunter Jackson's voice as Paper, and he really nails it on spot for Paper's voice.
So are we just not doing my Big Act 2 number? Or...
We then see the group on a tour of Inanimate Island, as we see that Cobb's corpse, Cobb Corn, and explosion marks are still where they were during the finale of Inanimate Insanity 2, the movie. I love how Baseball says they all prefer to think it was all from natural causes, when Tapey said where he was murdered, and Clover explains it was because of his vile nature. That goes straight back to how Cobbs was in the first 3 seasons of Inanimate Insanity. Willing to do anything to get what he wanted to bring the Meeple Company back from obscurity and keep his good image up in front of the public. But funny enough, led to his downfall when he got the wrong Shimmer Orb from the wrong contestant. The bus then gets stopped by Life Ring, Paintbrush, Box, and Meatag, who are a part of Suitcase's new group called by Baseball, Suitcase's Safety Authority, to make sure that everyone on Inanimate Island is safe. I also love the callback to how Box was mostly dead for Inanimate Insanity 2, and Invitational until they were brought back to life, which makes a good reason for why she joined Suitcase's Safety Authority, to make sure no one suffered dying like she did. Life Ring then assesses what happened with the bus going too fast, and having Meatag put softballs on Spiky to ensure he doesn't hurt anyone, which I find leads to one of his funniest lines here.
Oh, there we go.
I feel censored.
But we do also learn in this scene what the other contestants have been doing for those who are made of weaker materials like the glass contestants to ensure they don't die. After the Shimmers gave the contestants their organic energy to use for building their new community that we saw at the end of Inanimate Insanity 2 the movie, it's revealed that Test Tube reversed engineered it as the Blu-ray to give them their own protective force field to ensure no one dies, while also giving a light bluish look, evident as we see Lightbulb walking by.
I'm no longer at risk.
Like that.
It does have me wondering though, even knowing about the Blu-ray, what else they're using the energy with, having only watched this episode and episode 2 when going further into the season. But then after the SSA completes their inspection, Life Ring gets his foot run over. That leads to the next new location in season 4, the hospital. When seeing the hospital for the first time in season 4, I should have realized that it foreshadowed salt and pepper. When thinking about it more now, I realize how when contestants have buildings they own, that they do match their shape based on what they are, especially after OJ and Cabby. After the end of season 2, Salt took on the role of a doctor/surgeon for Inanimate Island's hospital, along with Pepper, who took up the role of a nurse for the hospital. Also, with Salt now being voiced by Casey Casey Landman. When watching this episode, I had no idea that Casey Landman was voicing Salt, and I was surprised in the credits when realizing she was voicing her now. That shows how good her range is when taking up another voice besides Cabby in the series. I also didn't realize that salt is a natural antiseptic before this episode, which is a neat detail when seeing Salt in this role. We also get to see Pepper again, who is now voiced by Emily Pitcher / Saundering Emily, which you may recognize the name because of her role as One in Teapot, which is honestly shocking since this episode played right after Teapot 19 at the BFDI 2025 tour. We learn that Pickle, the boy, has been a regular customer at the hospital, and we learn that Fan became the AC unit after the end of season 2, which I find a nice callback to the third episode in season 2 with Fan being used to Fan Trophy. Fan ends up joining the group for the rest of the tour as they go to Reality Restaurant. But after watching this, it makes me question why we don't see Dr. Fizz in the hospital in this scene or a reference to him, especially since he was given a doctor role by MePhone 4, as we do see him later on in the episode in the crowd, which honestly confused the heck out of me why he wasn't even at the hospital. While I was recording this part of the video, I did also forget to mention Bomb's new fuse / hair he got from Salt in the hospital. And I have to say, I really love how the contestants are starting to get to express themselves more, being a bit more customizable with their looks after MePhone left. But moving on, at Reality Restaurant, we learned that back when MePhone 4 still had the shimmer orb inside of him, that the food they ate was instantly generated by him, as I wonder how this went, especially outside of the game. We get shown a little bit of this in season 3 in the game with the picnics tables, but never really shown outside of Invitational or any of the other seasons. That raises the question how they didn't notice until after the reveal. But now everything is made by hand. Taco is the owner of the restaurant. It's nice to see her take up her own business like this after spending so long in the woods back in Inanimate Insanity 2. And we get our reintroduction to Soap, who is a part of Taco's staff and is now voiced by her singer, Viva Melcote, who sung Keep On Cleaning back in Inanimate Insanity Season 2 Episode 7, and a bit for Inanimate Insanity 2 the movie's finale song, I. And we also get our introduction to Magnet, voiced by Vanessa Benoit, who voiced in Disadventure Camp 4, Carnival of Chaos as Ivy. It's awesome to see some of the BFDI characters are in Inanimate Island's new community as well. Evident with Pencil being one of the BFDI copies, having been created back in Season 1's third episode, being voiced by Michael Huang. I find it very funny with this episode being right after Teapot 19 with how people were first like, oh my umga, one sent Pencil to the II universe? But nope, just a copy created by MePhone 4 himself, as Pencil is still dealing with her own stuff back in the BFDI universe right now, with the clone now stealing Box's reservation, and the newbies table added with Taco giving them the table with no lighting. What the heck, Taco? Things go wrong very quickly with Candle, who's also part of the staff, accidentally burning the dinner and lunch menus. I find it adorable in the storyboards for this episode how she was originally supposed to be blushing when she did this. We also see that Tea Kettle, Nickel, Tropy, and Cheesy are part of Taco's staff, and with another newcomer, Bonesaw, voiced by Anthony Ray Morales. But the teamwork between all 5 of them doesn't work out too well, showing us the result of Tropy's steak cooking, which goes back to what Baseball had said previously, with the food not looking the best when eating it, with Tropy taking a picture of it and calling it his personal best, which is nice to see he's keeping track of how well he does cooking, documenting his attempts with his love of photography. Clover lets them all know they're a little behind schedule, and to take their food to go. And Baseball explains that it's time to officially welcome them all to the OSC.
Did someone say they needed bone saw?
Never.
When looking outside the OSC's building right when they arrive, you can see that it's now labeled Hoot, showing that OJ kept his promise to paper at the end of the II2 movie with renaming the hotel to Hoot if they got out of Me Afterlife. But it has more of a government building look to it than a hotel, which has me curious when going into the Hoot building more if we get more info on its construction and plans before the newbies' arrival, especially since it's OJ, Suitcase, and Cabby's main housing area and base of operations. One thing I hope we get to see in Season 4 is the outside looks. For Cabby's theater and reality restaurant, that adds more to the immersion when seeing the open areas of Inanimate Island. But now we get into the song, Welcome to the OSC. During the song, we learned that after the events of Inanimate Insanity 2, the movie, OJ, Suitcase, and Cabby took up leadership roles in their new society while welcoming newcomers from Me Afterlife in. I love how well the roles relate to what we've seen in them in the past 3 seasons of Inanimate Insanity. With OJ's role, he is in charge of order in the OC to keep things organized that goes back to when he was still managing Hotel OJ, keeping everything in check with a lot of the past contestants staying there that were present in Inanimate Insanity Seasons 2 and 3. With Suitcase's role, she's in charge of safety, as we've seen previously with her group, Suitcase's Safety Authority inspection, but this goes back to how she had her mental health problems in Inanimate Insanity Season 2, and how the game affected her from that. And with Cabby's role, she's in charge of cooperation, not competition. And I love how this goes back to her trying to befriend others in Season 3 with her files in the beginning, and then later learning how to build trust among the other contestants without her files, evident with Yin Yang and Bot. The way that Cabby crosses out competition during her part of the song says a lot with the way everyone has been trying to move on after MePhone 4 left Inanimate Island and Inanimate Insanity ended officially. This song was very interesting to listen to when hearing it the first time, especially when seeing that OJ, Cabby, and Suitcase have now taken up leadership roles in their new society. But this time, instead of Suitcase's voice actor Sam Thornberry singing, it's instead Austin Nebbia. I find it funny how the OSC name would relate back to the shortened version of the Object Show community, with the letters that makes me wonder how far in advance they had planned this out. I love how the animation was different when the OSC was demonstrating their bits, but I also love how the leader podiums each matched the OSC's specific qualities, with OJ's on the left matching Cabby's podium's height for their tall size, Suitcase's podium in the middle being higher up to make for her smaller stature among the two, and Cabby's podium having a ramp for her to roll up to her podium since she doesn't have legs. But just with the way that Suitcase said, "We're all as happy as we can be," isn't very true of what we've seen earlier in the episode with the roles everyone has been given. And it just being ignored with how everyone really isn't enjoying the roles they've been given by the OSC in their new society. Owen has stated that this is similar to the song from My Little Pony in Our Town, to which I have to agree, having been an MLP fan, by showing how it's denying how a lot of things are with the town and how things are cruddy as they are, but still positive about it, with a lot of toxicity there. And it's the same here with what OJ, Suitcase, and Cabby have been doing. Seeing some of the other contestants be bad at the roles they're given, adjusting to their new life outside of the competition, with total satisfaction being their guaranteed, which it hasn't been.
Your total satisfaction is our guarantee!
After the tour of the OSC is over, the newbies are handed pamphlets by baseball for deciding which role they want to take on in the new society, where Jack shows his displeasure destroying his pamphlet by accidentally putting it onto one of Spiky's spikes, along with Teddy crushing hers. And I honestly understand their frustrations with this. Unlike the original seasons 1, 2, and 3 contestants we've gotten to see playing the game and come to this point in the series, I see just how much they wanted a chance to play, only for it to be reduced to picking a role to play in the OSC, known as the Organization of Sensible Careers. Just ignore the extra O in there for the OSC. But After the newbies leave the Hoot building, Fan confronts OJ, Suitcase, and Cabby on how nothing in the OC has been working so far, to where I agree he has the right to speak out on this, calling out how nothing went right on the recent tour and past tours they've done for others who've arrived from the afterlife, along with the jobs they've all been assigned to, with OJ saying he didn't think he had what it took to be a hotel manager, but he eventually got used to it. But OJ was never forced into the role of hotel manager. He became one with what he decided to do with the million he won during Inanimate Insanity Season 1's finale, to where Fan states that they were all happier when they had the competition. Suitcase is visibly scared by this with how much the competition did to her, with them replying that they can't live in the past and to trust in the process to live in a life without drama. I understand how much damage the competition did to the others, especially when seeing how much pressure was put on a lot of the relationships that were made, along with the way MePhone 4 put them through mentally damaging things, along with the way he assigned the roles he created them with. But not being able to really face this is what's making things not work, especially when assigning roles to the people they've known and new people coming in from the afterlife, that they're doing the same thing that MePhone 4 did. I love how Test Tube's lab was initially revealed in the Inanimate Insanity Season 4 BFDI XII 2025 tour announcement video before Season 4 started, hitting out what was yet to come. But in the lab, we get to see Test Tube's Blu-ray applying a new coat to Lightbulb while she's reading a newspaper, and while saying how the shimmer energy does the trick, that being Test Tube. It does make me wonder what else the shimmer energy will be used for later in the season, not just for the Blu-ray. Fan discusses with Lightbulb and Test Tube with what he said to the OC about how nothing was working, especially with Test Tube asking why Fan chose to discuss this with them now when everyone has been seeing the cracks in the OSC's society for a while, to which I'm surprised no one stood up to talk about this sooner with OJ, Suitcase, and Cabby. Test Tube is surprised with why Fan didn't come to her to discuss this when Fan explains how the recent tour went, with the newbies not wanting to be a part of the OSC and having an assigned role. Test Tube then explains that it's not just enough to identify a problem, that you have to find a solution and give evidence for how it will work, to where Fan now sees that they're in a loop. Fan then says how much he trusts Test Tube to face the challenge head on, and this is when Lightbulb gives the bright idea they need, saying, "There's no challenges anymore since Inanimate Insanity ended," to which Fan disagrees with her. And Test Tube explains how that life still has its daily challenges while the original competition also announced them on a regular basis. We know that the contestants' only purpose they were created for was to be a part of the game, but they got to evolve a lot from that to where it wasn't about the game anymore that they evolved from, but also noting how their experiences in the game was what also caused them to grow and change, but not making it far enough in the game is what caused them to not grow further. In Inanimate Insanity's previous seasons, there have been characters I wished would have made it farther in the game, like Tissues, Cherries, Life Ring, and more that could have gotten more development. And it's good to see it being noted here with everything that has happened and how other past contestants' growth could be continued or even go further. Fan hurries back to the Hoot building to give OJ, Suitcase, and Cabby news on his latest discovery, that even though they have freedom of choice for having a healthy community, they got to experience real freedom without MePhone 4 being in the picture, explaining how each of them won their own season of Inanimate Insanity to develop to their fullest potential, while others in the series never got that chance, only having made it to either third or second or even lower place in the series history compared to them, with Cabby replying that he thinks he holds them in high regard. That means they're more capable than anyone else in their new society, but also with what's expected of them having won the game but not knowing fully what they're doing, with Fan telling them that life has its common challenges, with OJ saying that they should put it to a vote, and Fan getting excited about this since voting was a part of Inanimate Insanity. The four of them then hear a scream from Reality Restaurant, with Nickel having fallen into the sink and ending up in its U-bend pipe. I was honestly shocked to see this with how big he is, but I find it funny with what Cheesy says, with Nickel having my exact same thoughts, and then it gets even funnier with him throwing Nickel down the sink to prove this while they're doing dishes. But the OC does prove Fan's statement and evidence rescuing Nickel, and Fan doing a classic slow clap with them, willing to hear him out. And then T-Kel asking them to take it outside, with it being the dinner rush. Back at the Hoot building, Fan explains that life still has its challenges and how it correlated back to the show itself, with how they got to experience the further they got into the game, along with benefiting from what they know now from their previous experiences in the game because of MiPhone 4 and how he had things set up. And I love how OJ, Suitcase, and Cabby's experiences really shine through here with what they went through and learned. With OJ learning there was still people that could be trusted, Cabby learning you don't have to be remembered by a bad first impression, and Suitcases that no one has the power to make you feel like you don't exist. That correlates back to their own arcs through Inanimate Insanity seasons 1, 2, and 3. And this goes back to how they thought getting rid of the competition was good, but overall it wasn't. Now that MiPhone 4's gotten the show ended, no one is going to be forced into playing the competition like they all did, giving the newcomers that have come in a chance to play instead of being assigned roles right away like they wanted to. With fans saying that they reintroduced the game to see where they all fit in, OJ agrees and says that they need a set of ground rules, and seeing that they demolished the rule of no non-contestants being on competition grounds is a good change, as it was sad to see during season 2 how the rule was with Marsh when she was in a difficult time in the game and needed someone who wasn't competing to understand what she was going through, along with Lightbulb missing Paintbrush, Fan, and Test Tube Bad when they left the game, along with there being regular check-ins to make sure that no one's being put in any danger, which I also like with how MiPhone 4 was constantly putting the others in danger during the previous 3 seasons. One of his most notable actions being locking eliminated contestants in a closet months after their eliminations, and the fact that the competition is now a teaching tool for helping them grow and expand who they are as a whole, but to make them be able to intervene if they lose sight of it, if it becomes an obsession. This leads to them needing to choose a new host for bringing Inanimate Insanity back and announcing it to everyone, to where Fan proves himself by being more of a moderator than a host, and Suitcase choosing him right on the spot. I love this decision when I first saw it, as Fan has proven himself outside of the Inanimate Insanity web series, with the Fan's Fantastic Features episodes where he's interviewed past contestants of Inanimate Insanity, along with having done a questionnaire challenge of his own, along with an ultimate final challenge of that second episode of Fan's Fantastic Features, Episode 2, the Participation Trophy. And he did good at it for only having 4 episodes of that series, since he went off to participate in an Invitational when he was finally starting to interview Paper after episode 4. But the series did come back for 2 live streams during II2 the Movie's episode's release. I find it funny how pencil erasing Box's reservation comes back into play, with Taco not realizing it was erased and written over, with it now being revealed that everyone has beepers for contacting each other, which has me curious when seeing their decision for this, especially since we know they went back to Meeple headquarters at some point to get stuff, evident with the season 4 announcement along with Meat Tag. I love how the stage from the Meatpad dedication ceremony is still there from Inanimate Insanity to the movie. And fans may not realize this at first, but after the movie with the Mansion Gang rebuilt, the name of it has become Meatpad Mansion. It's a purgatory mansion, honoring his heroic acts and sacrificing himself to make sure everyone had more time to escape Me Afterlife, and saving MiPhone 4's life in the process. And this is my first time hearing Liv, aka Olivia Smith's voice as Knife, and I have to say, she does an outstanding job here on her impression of Knife, especially after how well she did with her impression of Toilet. after he resurfaced during the movie.
Whoa, way more activity than usual here.
Just the way I dislike it.
I find it adorable how Knife and Suitcase's bond is still stronger than ever after the movie. I'm glad that here, Cabby admits the fact of how almost everyone hasn't been satisfied with the state of the OC's new community. But I was honestly shocked to see that Blueberry, the man who had the shortest time next to Fan in Invitational, being the one to set up a petition for there needing to be changes made, and I'm glad he did this, especially for helping to back up Inanimate Insanity's return, leading to Suitcase apologizing and Fan officially announcing Inanimate Insanity's return for its 4th season, to which we get a lot of mixed reactions in the crowd from this. But this is very understandable, especially with the arcs we've seen everyone go through in Inanimate Insanity, with some being positive and others being negative. Marsh calls this out alongside Bo with how bad the show was with her relationships in season 2 for how it affected things, and Fan adjusts to him saying that it won't be like how it was, to actually give others a chance this time to build their friendships in the game instead of destroying them, with Fan making it clear that no one is being forced to play anymore like they were, and that anyone can join in, with Marsh not wanting the newcomers to go through a repeat of what she went through, but then with Toilet bringing up the statement on what Meatpad would think with Inanimate Insanity's return, and past contestants wanting to join in, with the game now being changed up, to which Taco responds with, he thinks we should do whatever we felt was right. That goes back to how much Taco knew Meatpad during episode 15 of season 2, and the first 2 acts of the movie, with how much he knew that they had the freedom to choose for what they felt was right. But this is the most shocking revelation at the end of this episode when Fan says anyone can join.
I don't think any of us are right or wrong to feel how we feel, but anyone interested in playing is welcome to join.
Anyone?
Of course. Wait, who said that?
Oh, sorry, I'm new here. My name's Poppy.
My first thought when seeing Poppy appear was, oh my god, when did Steve Cobbs have a kid and not build one? For once. And funny enough, Poppy is voiced by Steve Cobb's voice actor, Joshua Waters. Everyone is shocked and scared at seeing them, and this leads to a panic in the next episode that is wild. But it's crazy to think that after Steve Cobbs ended in II-2 the movie, that everyone would have a dislike towards corn objects now. And I get it, they would be scared thinking that it would be Cobbs coming back to get his revenge in some way, shape, or form. I don't have so much to say on Poppy right now with having seen only this episode and episode 2, but I find it interesting what Poppy's role will be, especially with everyone having that trauma from Steve Cobbs almost deleting everyone in II-2 the movie and killing Meatpad just so he could get his hands on MePhone 4, along with getting his hands on more Shimmer Eggs and their energy. Getting down into the negative parts of this episode, when hearing Season 4's criticism, there's a lot to unpack with this first episode, especially when fans first saw the episode. That was a big change to what Season 2's return had, especially with the ending to the Meeple arc, with MePhone 4's departure with MePhone 3GS, and the contestants having their freedom to do what they wanted after MePhone 4 officially announced Inanimate Insanity's end. I understand why people would be upset about this. I was still finishing up my 3D animation arts degree and was trying to take care of my mental health after graduation for how much was being put on top of me to make sure I finished well. And then it was the recovery stage that was the hardest part for me, especially with over the summer, getting stuck with rough jobs to where I wasn't needed in the last half and having to deal with a lot of negative talk stacked onto it to cover for not having a full-time job yet. But while this was happening, hearing how the season would be a slice of life season had me overall interested and excited in seeing where everything would go now that everything changed for everyone. And I get the fact that people weren't happy when seeing the competition come back, or the fact of seeing the story continue on after the Meeple arcs end with the movie. And I overall love this episode, and especially the idea for Season 4. While not everyone got the screen time they were hoping for with some characters they loved, not getting voice lines, I still find it awesome how they were doing their best when reintroducing everyone to us, especially for past contestants now taking up new roles in their new community. While Teapot has been following Inanimate Insanity's footsteps for the darker tone and over-the-top storyline happening now in the series, especially after Teapot 19, it's nice to see the series going back to a calmer tone after the Meeple Arcs events. When seeing this, especially seeing the BFDI series exploring new stories in its series that take on that tone after everything winded down with Inanimate Insanity Season 2's end. I know that people were expecting Season 4 to follow in the same tone that Season 2 did, but it's nice to see a reset to a more calmer state of things like it did for Invitational, wanting to go back to a more basic side of things when Season 1 first started. And this is a good breath of fresh air when seeing what everyone is doing now in the aftermath, especially with what we see in the episode introducing us to a familiar location with some new places, along with a cheerful song that follows up from Inanimate Insanity Season 2's musical theme pretty well. Back when I first watched Inanimate Insanity for the first time in 2022 and got more interested in the characters as I watched more and more episodes alongside Chloe, it had me thinking what it would be like if the show had more of a lesser focus on the competition side of things, to give more time when looking into characters, with one of my favorite episodes from Season 2 being Episode 9, Rain on Your Charade, that took a break from the competition aspect and gave more time for further character developments before the next episode and challenge. It was also criticized with this episode's pacing for how it has a slow start into the season. And I agree it does have a slow start, but it's nice to see how they do it when remembering how every other season prior would have MePhone 4 introducing the new cast and starting with the first challenge. And this is a big game changer for how now it's without MePhone 4 for the first time, and the first episode in the series where we don't see him at all since he's gone. I find it good though with the route they took with this season, as this time instead of just reintroducing the season 1 through 3 contestants we all know all at once, we get to see a new group of contestants of those we've seen before and those we haven't, trying to escape like they did, even though it's not for the same reason that they did for getting to have a real life, but rather wanting to compete in Inanimate Insanity like they did prior to the reveal. And it's nice that they're doing this, still showing that there are others from the afterlife that don't know what it's like to realize that they now have free will to choose what they want to be able to do instead of them being forced to compete, just like how MePhone 4 programmed them to be. I'm excited to see where the developments will go with Teddy, Jack, Spiky, and Tapey in Season 4 when pushing past the initial programming that went into them with their desire to play in Inanimate Insanity. I love how we're getting to see the past contestants and non-contestants we've seen in the series and what they're up to now in Season 4, with conflicts arising within the OSC and the rest of the community when starting this new community after Inanimate Insanity's end. OJ, Suitcase, and Cabby ignoring how everything they've been doing hasn't been satisfactory in their leadership with the decisions they've made, to which you can see that everyone is still learning how to do things on their own without MePhone 4's involvement. Relying on OJ, Suitcase, and Cabby for how they made it all the way to first place in their own seasons, being seen as leaders for their titles. Also with having focus on fan and test tube, since fan was created by MePhone 4 to be a #1 fan of Inanimate Insanity. I find it interesting to see how far his programming is going to affect things with being the host of this season, with test tube and Bot being his co-host as a family of hosts. One of the theories that Owen came up with for this season was Fan becoming an antagonist, and with the way it was hinted at during II, the movie's end with the song II, where he's wearing Cobb's glasses, as there isn't much to say on this yet, but having seen up to episode 2 during 2025's tour, I feel like this may be starting up. And I love this season's art style itself. While I've heard people's criticisms, with the animation style, not including shadows for the characters like they did in Season 2's high-quality animation style. Overall, I love how well it represents all 3 seasons' past art styles combined when taking it all in as an Inanimate Insanity veteran fan, to where you can see a lot of similarities between current assets and assets from past seasons that does the inspiration from those to this pretty darn well, along with the animation quality in certain shots throughout this episode. And I can't wait to see more of it getting back into Season 4. But the one thing I would love to see is more outside shots of the new buildings on Inanimate Island that would add more depth to Season 4's episodes. I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who's been waiting for this first start to Inanimate Insanity Season 4 here on the channel. With this review video, it's been a long wait for doing this, but we're finally glad that this video released, especially for all you guys out there to see it.
Me.
But before we go, there is one last surprise that we would like to be able to unveil, and that is the 4th member of the II Reaction Group, making his debut now.
Yeah.
I wonder who it could be.
Yes, the mystery is killing me.
Exactly.
But yes, Pyro is officially joining the Inanimate Insanity Reaction Group as our 4th member from here on out.
Where am I?
What the hell?
Hi, guys.
You're here in the reaction room again, Pyro.
I like manifested, bro. What is this?
Yeah, and
This
you're
is-
taking so much room.
This is welcoming you into the Inanimate Insanity Reaction Group. Also back in my room again.
Because this guy hasn't gotten to watch the last 2 episodes, so you're gonna get a double whammy situation on the
We
stream.
don't talk about that. We don't
Yep.
talk about that.
It's gonna be a double surprise reaction for getting into
Yeah, Chloe,
the
I was originally
next
gonna watch
3
it.
episodes live here on the channel.
I'm just saying, Chloe, I was gonna watch it with you, but you know what? I can get used to this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll all get used to it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Chloe. I mean, hey, I got my wish.
Well,
We're watching it together now.
Bro, listen, it's
Yeah.
your damn fault for not catching up.
The fuck you mean it's my damn
Fight, 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 fight.
But let us know in the comments. Oh, you.
No, do not continue.
No, it's all good. But what did you guys think about Inanimate Insanity Season 4, Episode 1? Let us know what your guys' thoughts were in the comments below. But also, if you guys are excited for our reactions to Episodes 2, 3, and 4 live. Because we're going to be trying to get all caught up before Inanimate Insanity's 15th anniversary on April 1st. And we are
I'm going
so
with that.
hyped to be doing this
I'm
for
going
all
with
you guys out there.
Yeah,
know.
I sadly am not going because there's none of them are near my area.
Aw. I'm sorry,
I
Chloe.
will be in attendance.
Yeah.
I'll be at the Midwest City location.
Yeah.
Come find me. Come say hi. I don't
I'm-
bite.
Yeah. I'm hoping to head out to Ohio for the 15th anniversary. Shouldn't be too long of a drive. Alright, so this is where we're gonna end it. But like always, if you guys like this video, make sure to smash those like and subscribe buttons for more insane content in the future just like this, and make sure to click that notification bell down below for my latest videos and updates, and to not miss our live stream to Inanimate Insanity Season 4 Episodes 2, 3, and 4 when we go live. Because it's gonna be awesome! Finally catching up after so long. Yeah. Alright. I'm SwordHeartStudios.
I'm ChloedoesFandomArts.
I am owner of this account.
And I'm Pyrosity.
And we will see you guys all next time. But take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you soon.
Later!
See you soon.